What's up? We got The Flash Season 3, Episode 15, The Wrath of Savitar. So this episode starts off with Barry, the Flash, Trajectory 2.0, and Kid Flash training, and they're basically speeding around, doing a bunch of speedster stuff. When Wally hits enough velocity, 0.221 seconds, that's enough to defeat Savitar and save Iris. So, yeah. So then Julian just randomly returns out of nowhere. Yeah, Julian's here again. He just randomly come back from wherever Tom Fulton was, and he came back. So, yeah, so he's like, hey guys, and he's like, it's James. I remember in 8 Human Resources, he's called Julius, now he calls him James. And he's like, hey Jesse, I thought you were supposed to go back to Earth too. And she's like, hey, yeah, I said to stay for a little while. So then they all show up. So Barry and I said to reveal that they are engaged, and Joe is, shocked. He's just like, and she's like, come on, say something. And he's like, yeah. So he's like, hey Joe, are you okay? He's like, yeah. So then Wally's like, hey, Jesse's preoccupied with the ring. It's just us. So Barry speeds around, but then Wally gets attacked by a normal real-life version of Savitar. Yeah, this is where the show decided to stop using the Savitar CGI and actually go with someone in an actual full-body suit. And boy, does it look pretty not that good. For half of the season, it was basically just Savitar CGI. But now it's basically just someone operating in a suit. That's pretty confusing, How could you go from CGI to now someone in an actual suit? So now he's like, hey Wally, and he's like, what? And he's like, who's here? And he's like, stop him. And he's like, stop who? And he's like, Savitar. So Barry basically yells at Wally for not telling him about this. He's like, Wally, how could you not tell us about this? And he's like, it's only been a week. And he's like, it's been a week you've been seeing this? Come on, Wally. And I'm like, Barry, Wally didn't know what, basically Wally explains that he didn't know what he was seeing. He thought it was just something in his head. So, obviously, he needs some time to figure this out. So Barry getting mad, I guess Barry thinks that Wally should have told them because they could have helped him and it could have stopped. Now he could use to save Iris' life. But getting mad at him, and he basically just says, hey Wally, you're off the team for now. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, you shouldn't have kept this from us. Barry, how many things have you kept from them? Huh? I guess it's to save Iris' life, but Wally keeps one secret while Barry gets mad at him, but Barry's kept like a bunch and no one bats an eye. Isn't that really suspicious? So that no one, is suspicious that Barry's, acting, weird. So yeah, so they said they want to communicate with Savitar again through Julian, because that's basically the only way they contact the Savitar. But Julian's like, no, I'm not letting you use me again, bro. Think of another way to contact that guy, because I'm not that. So Julian just decides, yeah, but eventually Julian randomly decides to say, hey, okay, you can do it. So they basically talk to Savitar, and Savitar says, you're still here, Pretender Wells. And he's like, I'm still here because I have friends. And he's like, you were the one that could survive from my resurrection, Wells. I like he calls him the fake Wells, now he's calling him the Pretender. So he's like, how do you know? He's like, I've seen you, I know all of you, Caitlin, Joe, Wally, Cisco, the Pretender Wells. I know all you guys. And you will prepare for the wrath of Savitar. For the wrath of Savitar. I'm not very good. I know that I used to thought I had a good Savitar voice. It's not better than my Zoom voice. The God of Speed. Hello, Flash. And it's not very good. My Zoom voice is way better. But anyway, I'm sorry. So my Zoom voice is kind of way better than my Zapper voice. So yeah, so they're like, "Did we get anything?" And he's like, "Yeah." So they find a bunch of acolytes who are, you know, they find a bunch of acolytes who are like preparing Savitar's, and he basically stops him and he's like, "Oh Barry, I'm guessing you're gonna have to move up the wedding." So yeah, so basically they're like, how did the acolytes? How is Savitar still here? We destroyed the Philosopher's Stone. But then Caitlin revealed that she had a piece of it. And Julian is basically mad at her, basically saying, "Hey, you know what that stone did to me? And you got a piece of it to see if it can remove your powers?" Yeah. Caitlin, that was the wrong thing to do. But she's like, and he's like, now I know the real reason you brought me on this team. So Julian just leaves. I guess that Julian gets mad. Caitlin and then Julian leaves. I guess that romance is, done. Finally, we can stop saying hashtag Julian and Caitlin. So yeah. So then Wally and Jesse are kissing when Wally sees his mom, but it's not really his mom because Jesse can't. Jesse just sees Wally hugging air, so he just sees him hugging air basically, and hugging air. So she's like, "Hey Wally, stop doing what you're doing. You're not fast enough." And I'm just like, a mom would never say this to their kid. So then he's like, "You're very, aren't you, Wallace?" And turns into Savitar, and Savitar is like, I will escape my prison, Wally." And he's like, "No, you won't. We still have a piece of that stone." And he's like, "Well, you weren't fast enough to throw it into Speed Force." So she's like, Wally is like, I gotta stop Savitar from getting out 3 to speeds away. Then Jesse's like, "Hey, Wally thought he was talking to his, Wally was hallucinating. He thought he was talking to his mom." And then Julian's like, "That's not her, that's Savitar." So he's like, "Where do you go?" He's like, he said something about not letting Savitar get out. So yeah, so Barry decided, they decided to go and fight. So yeah, and also the storyline, Wally vibes Cisco to the future. And saw the Iris wasn't wearing her wedding ring. So she's like, "Hey Barry, tell Iris why you agreed to marry her." And he's like, "In the future, you weren't wearing your wedding ring, so she said if we were, it would change the future." And Iris is basically just mad at Barry because of this, for keeping this from her, for not telling her about this. So she just walks off and is now mad at him for like. So, yeah. So yeah. So anyway, Wally decides to fight Savitar, but Savitar's like, "You're not fast enough to so in the Speed Force." So Wally does it, but Wally gets put into the Speed Force. And Barry just watches. He's just like, Wally's like, "Help me, Barry!" And has his suit disintegrates. But Barry's just like, well, just stands there, doesn't like speed to save Wally. He just stands there, and Wally screams and gets thrown into the Speed Force, and Savitar is finally out of the Speed Force. Wally took his place, but I'm just like, Barry, this is all your fault, man. It's also Wally's for throwing it in there, but Barry, you just stand there and let Wally get thrown into the Speed Force. So I blame you. So Savitar is like, where's Wally? And he's like, he took up my place in the Speed Force. Where future Barry trapped him. Wally's now in that place. So So they get into a fight. Savitar's like, you're gonna have to kill me, but he's like, oh yeah, again, Barry Allen doesn't kill. Remember season 2, everyone, where Barry Allen killed 2 minutes? Yeah, this show gotta stop saying that, because Barry does kill. He killed 2 minutes in 2 different episodes last season. I will not stop reminding them about this, because it's kind of every time they mention how Barry Allen doesn't kill, I will remind them of this, because it's true. Barry Allen does kill. He only killed 2 times. He may not kill anymore, but he only killed 2 times. So yeah. So they get into a fight with this cool shot where both their lightning, there's blue lightning and their red lightning are like fighting each other, and it's super cool. Thumbnail. And it's super cool, and but Barry's able to like just savitar with his own sword, injuring him. So yeah, so Barry's like, hey, his fear. He's like, hey, you gotta get him back. But I'm like, this is all Barry's fault, you know. But anyway, he's like, you gotta get him back, Barry. You gotta get Wally out of Speed Force. So he's like, yeah. So that was still a very good episode. I enjoyed it. It was really good. I kind of didn't like how Barry blamed Wally for not telling them about savitar, when Barry has kept secrets from the team for like a long time. He even kept this from Iris, but Barry is the one that gets to get mad at people. But when Barry keeps secrets, no one gets mad at him. Barry kept the Flashpoint thing a secret from them. But when Wally keeps a secret, Wally gets kicked off. But when Barry keeps a secret and tells them, they're just like, nah, I guess that's it. Barry's the main hero of the show, so I guess Barry can't get any consequences. But since Wally's not the main character, Wally gets yelled at. Wow, show, you really have... Wow. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for more of The Flash.